Nasimhavamana Srimadusudana Brajendranandana Shama Putana Gatana Kaitabashatana Jaya Dasarati Rama Yashoda Dulala Govinda Gopala Vrindavana Purandhara Gopi Priya Jana Radhika Ramana Bhuvana Sundara Bhora Ravanatakara Makanataskara Gopi Jana Vastrahari Brajera Rakala Gopa Vrindapalo Chittahari Vamsidhari Yogendra Bandhana Srinandanandana Brajajana Bhayahari Navina Nirada Rupa Manohara Mohana Vamsi Bihari Yashodanandana Kamsa Nishudana Nikunjara Savilasi Kadambakanana Rasa Parayana Vrinda Vipina Nivasi Anandavardhana Premani Kehitana Pulasharayo Jakakahana Gopangana Gana Chitta Vinodhana Samasta Guna Gana Dhamma Yamuna Jivana Kili Parayana Manasa Chandra Chakora Namashudaras Ko Krishnayash Rako Vachanamana Mohora Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Gopi Janabalabha Giridharadhari. Gopi Janabalabha Giridharadhari. Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana. Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana. Yamunatira Vanachari. Yamunatira Vanachari. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Nitai Gaur Haribo, 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 Nitai Gaur Haribo. Jai Jai Prabhupada, 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 Jai Jai Prabhupada. Gaur Premanande. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Sarasatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudirayat Nasta Praeshu Vavadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtaki. We're reading Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, Chapter 24, text number 57. Shanarden apitulaya na swargam na punerbhavam Bhagavat Sangi Sangasya Marchyanam Kim Utasina Shanarden apitulaye Na swargam na punerbhavam Bhagavat Sangi Sangasya Marchanam Kim Utasisaha Shen Ardin Apitulaye Na Swargam Na Punerbhavam Bhagavat Sangi Sangasya Marchanam Kim Utasina. Messages. Shana Ardena, by half a moment. Api, even. Tulaye, compare. Na, never. Swargam, heavenly planets. Na, neither. Apuna bhavam, merging into the Supreme. Bhagavat, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Sangi, associate. Sangashya, one who takes advantage of associating. Martyanam, of the conditioned soul. Kim uta, what is there? Asisa, blessings. Translation. If one by chance associates with a devotee, even for a fraction of a moment, he no longer is subject to attraction by the results of karma or jnana. What interest then can he have in the benedictions of the demigods, who are subject to the laws of birth and death? Purport by Srila Prabhupada. Out of the three kinds of men, the karmis, jnanis, and bhaktas, the bhakta is described herein as the most exalted. Srila Prabodhananda Saraswati has sung, Kaivoyam narakayate tridaspur akasa puspayate, from the Chaitanya Chandramrita. The word Kaivalya means to merge into the effulgence of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And the word Tridasha Pura refers to the heavenly planets where the demigods live. Thus, for a devotee, Kaivalya Sukha, or merging into the existence of the Lord, is hellish, because the bhaktas consider it suicidal to lose his individuality and merge into the effulgence of Brahman. A bhakta always wants to retain his individuality in order to render service to the Lord. Indeed, he considers promotion to the upper planetary systems to be no more than the will of the wisp. Temporary material happiness holds no value for a devotee. The devotee is in such an exalted position that he is not interested in the actions of karma or jnana. The resultant actions of karma and jnana are so insignificant to a devotee situated on the transcendental platform that he is not in the least interested in them. Bhakti yoga is sufficient to give the bhakta all happiness, as stated in Srimad Bhagavatam, Yayatma suprasidati. One can be fully satisfied simply by devotional service, and that is the result of associating with a devotee. Without being blessed by a pure devotee, no one can be fully satisfied, nor can anyone understand the transcendental position of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Namam Vishnupadaya Krishna Pastaya Bhutale Shrimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Iti Namne Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pacharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Desata. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivas. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Rama. All right, so we're hearing Lord Shiva's prayers. He's offering prayers, teaching the prachetas how to pray to the Lord. So, Srila Prabhupada describes the exalted position of devotional service. That to do devotional service, it is the highest position of spiritual life, to be engaged in the service of the Supreme Lord. Prabhupada quotes, he says, Yayatma suprasidati, right? So you know that verse from the first canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam, second chapter. Savai pumsam paro dharmo yato bhaktir adhok saje. Ahaitaki apratiyata yayatma suprasidati. So the supreme occupation for all humanity to attain is loving service to the Lord. And such service should be unmotivated and uninterrupted in order to yayatma suprasidati, in order to completely satisfy the self. That we'll be completely satisfied when we're fully engaged in the service of the Lord. Ahaitaki apratihata, unmotivated service and uninterrupted service. So that is the supreme occupation. Not a lawyer, not a doctor, not a politician. There's so many different occupations you can have, but the supreme occupation is to be engaged in the service of the Supreme Lord. You may think, I'm working for the government. It's a very good job. You work for the government. Government very stable, You don't get made redundant. You don't get paid off. You usually get good salaries, and the government will take good care of you. So, devotees, we're working for the Supreme Lord, for the government of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And we should be very happy to be engaged in that. We have to understand the good fortune of being engaged in bhakti yoga, that it is the supreme occupation, it is the highest. Prabhupada talks about the karma yoga and jnana yoga, well, particularly the karmi, not so much karma yoga, but the karmi. The karmi, he wants to enjoy the material world. He's looking to enjoy life here in this world. And sometimes the karmis, they also think about going to heavenly planets and enjoying there. But their motive is always enjoyment. They want sense gratification. And they're never satisfied because the nature of sense gratification is such that you're never satisfied. You never get enough. You always want more. And this is the problem with sense gratification. Lust is like that. Is it working, Prabhu? So, in Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna talks about lust. The desire to enjoy is lust. And it's described as the all-devouring enemy, that you can never overcome it. It burns like fire. It's never satisfied. So you can see the difference. If we engage in devotional service to satisfy the Lord, we'll feel satisfied. We'll satisfy the soul. But sense gratification, lust, is never satisfied. It burns like fire, never satisfied. We have to learn how to conquer the enemy lust. So in the Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna describes that by spiritual strength we can conquer this material desire, the all-devouring enemy, the lust. And we're told how it's situated in the senses, in the mind, and in the intelligence. So it's very bewildering how lust can be there. Our intelligence can be polluted by lust. We have to be very careful to guard against it. But we can conquer the enemy by spiritual strength. By spiritual strength, regulating the senses and curb this desire for sense gratification. Spiritual strength. We get that spiritual strength by taking part in the devotional activities. Our morning program is very important. Jai Nrsimha Bhagwan ki. In the Srila Prabhupada arranged the morning program so that all devotees could get spiritual strength. You come for the Mongol Arti, you chant your japa, then worship, of course we worship Tulsi, we chant japa, we greet the deities, we worship the Guru, and then we hear Srimad Bhagavatam. So we spend usually 4 hours every day, like from 4:30 to like 8:30, 9 o'clock every morning, 4.5 hours we're spending on our sadhana, on our spiritual program. And by taking part in the morning program, we get spiritual strength. We get the strength to go out and fight Maya, which is very important. We have, devotees go out for preaching work, and we have to meet so many people who are not devotees. We have to talk to them. We have to try to convince them about Krishna consciousness. So we have to have spiritual strength, and we get that strength the more we take part in our morning program, evening program. The more we're engaged in devotional life, then we can conquer these material desires. In the purport, Prabhupada also quotes Prabodhananda Saraswati, how he talks about this desire to merge the impersonalists, the jnanis. They want that. They want to achieve that oneness, to merge into the oneness, into the Brahman. But this is, Prabhupada explains how this concept of merging into the oneness of Brahman, does not appeal to any devotee. A devotee doesn't want that oneness because there's no activities there. You merge into the oneness and there's nothing happening. There's nothing taking place. There's no variety. There's no relationships. There's only the oneness. It's all one in the Brahman. And there's no pleasure there. Oh, there's a little pleasure because there's no suffering. There's no more suffering, but there's no real pleasure. There's no opportunity to experience real pleasure in the Brahman. Because to experience real pleasure, we have to go beyond the Brahman. And beyond the Brahman, into the spiritual planets, into the spiritual sky, they're engaging in activities with the Lord. In Vaikuntha or in Goloka, there's spiritual activities. But in the Brahman, there's only the oneness. And people are all in the oneness. And there's no relationships. There's no pleasure, really. Just like if you go to the Buddhist temple, they have retreats, in Thailand. There's this Buddhist temple, they have retreats, and a lot of people go, a lot of foreigners like to go as well, and they think Buddhism is something nice. Anyway, they go there for the retreat, and they're told, don't talk to anyone. You're not here to talk. Just don't even look at people. Yeah, just only contemplate the oneness or the nothingness. This is how they pass the weekend. Don't talk to anybody. Don't, it's all meditation from morning to night, just meditation. And don't even try to make any kind of friendship or anything. Just only contemplate the suffering of the material body and how life in this material world is all miserable and suffering, and give up the connection with the material world. And they try to give up the connection, to stop everything. Negation of the sense. They say, see no evil, speak no evil, hear no evil. So they don't hear anything. They don't want to hear anything. They don't understand the positive side, that if you hear about Krishna and you see the form of the Lord and you chant the glories of the Lord, that is not material, that is a spiritual activity. So impersonalists, even the Brahmagyanis, like the four Kumaras, they just want the impersonal Brahman, contemplating the oneness. It appeals to some people, the concept of being, everything is one, right? They don't want duality. They say there should be no duality. Don't create any duality. Just only the oneness. This is impersonalism. And when Advaita Acharya was getting upset because Lord Chaitanya was always respecting him. So Advaita Acharya began to preach impersonalism. He was reading from the, what was the name of that book again? Do you remember the book he was reading? It was all about impersonalism anyway. It was full of impersonal statements and the glories of liberation, mukti. So when Advaita Acharya, he did this just to make Lord Chaitanya angry. Because Lord Chaitanya was always respecting Advaita Acharya, because Advaita was so much older, and he was like, the friend of his father. And so Lord Chaitanya respected Advaita very much. And Advaita would get so upset because Advaita knew that Lord Chaitanya is the Supreme Lord, and he wanted to respect Lord Chaitanya. So I think it was the Advaita Prakash, something like that. Anyway, he was reading from this book, which was full of impersonal statements, and it was all about liberation. And Advaita was preaching about all this to people, that the goal of life is liberation. We have to become one with the Supreme. And Lord Chaitanya heard. Lord Chaitanya was very angry. He came all the way from Mayapur to Shantipur. And he came to Shantipur and he got hold of Advaita. He threw him on the ground and began to beat him. And Advaita Acharya's wife, Sita, she came running. Oh no, don't kill my husband. Oh no, please don't kill my husband. But Advaita was happy. He was enjoying it. Yes, this is what I want. This is what I don't want you to be respectful to me. I want you to beat me like this. This is good. He was appreciating it. Lord Chaitanya said, you call me here. Advaita had been responsible for calling Lord Chaitanya to descend. And he said, you call me here. I was sleeping in the spiritual sky and you brought me here. And now you're preaching about impersonalism, the glories of liberation. You rascal. So Lord Chaitanya really chastised Advaita. And Advaita was so happy that Lord Chaitanya was treating him in this way. He wanted this. So, impersonalism, you see, the idea of impersonal, the Jnanis, their goal is liberation. And if you listen to other people like different Mayavadi impersonal schools, there's a lot of them around, they will always speak about the goal is liberation, to become one with the Supreme, to enter into the oneness, to merge. They're thinking that is the goal. But for the devotees, we have no interest in liberation. We begin bhakti yoga on the platform of liberation. Brahma bhuta prasanatma na sochati na kanchati sama sarveshu bhuteshu madbhaktim labhate param. In the 18th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna explains how devotional service begins on the liberated platform. Brahma bhuta prasanatma. One who understands he's Brahman, he's a joyful soul. That is the liberated platform. So devotional service begins on the platform of liberation. Bhagavad Gita also said, Mam chayo vayabhicharena bhakti yogena sevate sagunam samatichaikam brahma bhuyaya kalpate. That one who is engaged in my devotional service, he immediately comes to the level of Brahman. So devotional service begins on the platform of Brahman, on the platform of liberation. But that is not our goal. We don't want that. Because why? Prabhupada explained, there's no activity there. If you get to the platform of Brahman, it's boring. There's nothing. Just like you go to the Buddhist temple and they tell, don't talk to anybody, don't just meditate. You get bored, you know. How long you can do it? Very boring. No activity, no relationship, no variety. Everybody is the same. That's the Buddhist concept. Everyone's one. Everyone's a Buddha. There's no man. There's no woman. Everyone is a Buddha. No, you get a bit bored if everybody's a Buddha, right? You see the Buddha everywhere. Everyone's a Buddha. There's no male. There's no female. There's only the Buddha. So, just like if you go in a room, you're just all on your own. Then you see everywhere, you only see your own reflection. It's a bit boring. So impersonalism is very boring. There's no activity, there's no variety, and it's only the oneness. So how long we can enjoy that oneness? There's no suffering, but there's no real experience of spiritual pleasure, spiritual bliss. Because there's no activity. They have no activity on the spiritual platform. They just stop everything. But devotees, we have a lot of activities. And we experience great pleasure, great satisfaction taking part in devotional service. Chanting and dancing, taking prasadam, all of these different things. We enjoy spiritual activities. So the devotional process is engagement of the senses, not to stop the senses, but to use the senses in the service of Lord Krishna, in the service of the Supreme. Use all of our senses. The example is there, Maharaj Ambarish, who was the great king in the district of Mathura. Sometimes we will go, when you go to Govardhan, you see that Kusum Sarova. There's a big lake there. So Maharaj Ambarish, he was living there. He used to be there. And Maharaj Ambarish is described in the Srimad Bhagavatam, Savaimana Krishna Padara Vindayo Vachamsi Vaikuntha Gunana Varnane. The Srimad Bhagavatam goes on to describe in 3 verses how Maharaj Ambarish engaged all of his different activities for the pleasure of the Supreme Lord. He used his legs to walk to the holy places and to dance in the kirtan. He used his eyes to see the beauty of the deity. He used his tongue to chant the holy name and to taste the prasad. He used his ears for hearing the glories of the Lord. All of his different sense organs, they were all used for the service of Lord Krishna. So in this way, Maharaj Ambarish was fully satisfied. He was fully engaged. Of course, the very first thing he did was to fix his mind on the lotus feet of Krishna. Savai mana Krishna padara vindayoy. Fix the mind. That's very important. The first thing is we have to engage our mind in the service of Krishna. And how to engage our mind? We have to remember Krishna. We have to be hearing and chanting in order to remember Lord Krishna. People try to meditate without hearing and chanting. It will be very difficult for them. But if they hear and chant, then remembrance becomes easier. But without proper hearing and chanting, very difficult to remember. So we have to practice. Prabhupada always taught us the foundation of our devotional service is in hearing and chanting. And we have to make a strong foundation to our devotional service by hearing regularly and by chanting regularly, doing these things very faithfully. Then we develop that strong connection to Krishna. So the whole process of devotional service, bhakti yoga, is so much superior to the other processes. That the karmis, they want sense gratification, gross sense gratification, and they're never satisfied. They always want more. They get a car, then they want a new car. They want a bigger car, a faster car. There's no end to material desires. It goes on unlimitedly. Material desires. So, in the Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna describes 3 gates to hell: lust, anger, and greed. Lust is the beginning, the desire for sense gratification, to get material pleasures. When we get them, we're greedy for more. We want more. I was in Hong Kong, and sometime I will go and meet the different Indian businessmen there. And I remember I met this one young man. He'd been doing business in Hong Kong. He said, I just made $1 million last year. He said, I can't wait to make another $1 million. You know, that's the nature of the material world. We're always greedy for more. It's very rare someone will say, I have enough, you know. And when you don't get what you want, when you lose everything, you become angry. When the anger comes, there's a lot of angry people around. They didn't get all their desires. They could not satisfy themselves. So this is the way of karma, trying to enjoy, working, trying to enjoy. And then those people who are frustrated in the effort to enjoy the material world, then they try to negate the world. They try to go away from the world and to reject the world. They say, oh, it's all suffering, just go away from the world and they don't want to do nothing, to just sit and meditate. But how long can you sit and meditate? How long can you stop everything? In the Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna describes about one who sees action in inaction, and inaction in action is in true knowledge. So that when we stop activities, we're trying to stop everything, but you cannot stop everything. You're still breathing, and you're still going to eat, you're still going to do some actions. You cannot simply stop everything. They can go into trance for some time, but you don't stay in trance. There's always going to be activities. We were doing Sankirtan one time in India. I was with Mahavishnu. At that time he was a brahmachari, and we were together. We were distributing books in India. And we had a van, and we were coming up down the road. We noticed on the side there's this mountain, and there was a cave there, and we could see there's a temple there. So he said, let's stop, let's go and see the temple. So we stopped, went over there, and we brought a book with us, and we got in this cave, and there was this one man with a long hair and beard, and he went, he's doing monavrat. He wasn't speaking to anybody, so he went, told us that he was doing monavrat. So we understood, okay, he's doing monavrat. Anyway, we spoke to him, and we told him, we're traveling around, and we're disciples of our Guru, and our Guru's written this Bhagavad Gita. And we showed him the Bhagavad Gita, and we talked to him and told him some things about Krishna consciousness and like that. So then we asked him, can you buy the book? And he had a board with chalk, and he wrote on the board, how much is it? And so he bought a Bhagavad Gita from us, you see. He was doing monavrat, but he was still communicating, writing on the board and things. So like that, Gyanis, they try to renounce the world. Even you live in the cave like that, away from the world, you never really get away from the world. I met this other young man. He told me he went to live in the cave. He said he had a lot of material desires when he went in the cave, but he said when he came out of the cave, he had more material desires than when he went in. So you don't solve the problem by just going away from the world. The problems are still going to be there. But if you take up Krishna consciousness, if we engage our senses, body, mind and words in the service of Krishna, then you can be a liberated soul. Srimad Bhagavatam says, Ihayasya haredasye karmana manasagira Nikilaspapi avastastu jivan mukta sa uchate. Jivan mukta, the liberated souls, they will use the body, the mind and words, all in the service of Krishna. So in this very life, you can be liberated. Not by stopping activities, but by doing everything in the service of the Lord. Use the body for the service of Krishna. Use the tongue to chant the glories of Krishna. Body, mind and words. Our words should be dedicated to glorify Krishna and to chant his names. And our mind should be controlled, and we should be absorbed in remembering and thinking of the Lord and planning for his service. How to do more service, how to increase our service for the pleasure of the Lord. That's our business as devotees, that we are always thinking how we can do more, right? We have so much land here. We want to cultivate all the land and make it nice, vegetable gardens and flower gardens and everything. And you can have greenhouses. You have some houses. I was in Russia, away down in Russia, away on a place called Kamchatka. And it's a very remote corner of Russia. It's very near to Alaska. And you can only go there by flight. There's no road or anything. It's the land of the bears, they say. So anyway, I was there in Kamchatka, and the one devotee is there. You know, it's really cold there. They had snow. They had like 8 meters of snow. You know, and it's so deep. It was incredible, and very cold. They only have a few months of summer. Anyway, this devotee there, he's running a restaurant. So he grows his own vegetables. He grows his own tomatoes and cucumbers and stuff. How does he do it? Well, he's got a greenhouse. He gets some greenhouse up and he puts some air conditioning there. And he's growing really nice tomatoes and cucumbers and things. He's doing really nice. Yeah. So even in difficult climates, you can do it, you know. You have to spend a little bit more money, but you can use it to generate income also. You can distribute it. In Bhaktivedanta Manor, they have also cows. Their cows are dairy cows. They give a lot of milk. And so they have their ahimsa milk. And they get a good income from distributing their milk. It's very popular. People appreciate the fresh milk. You know, you go to the supermarket and they have milk which is imported from foreign countries, and it's all subject to so much chemical processes. It's not the real thing. But you get the real milk from the cow, direct from the cows, and people can understand the real value of that kind of milk. So here, you know, you have cows, you have land, we have a lot of opportunity to make use of these things for the service of Krishna. And so like that, we have to be thinking how we can do more for Krishna, how we can do more to distribute Krishna consciousness and make it even more attractive than it already is. Okay, any questions? Yes, Prabhu?
You spoke about the yogi who was doing Mona Vrata and people who aspire for liberation, who don't talk, they try to restrain their senses and so on. And sometimes we meet such people and they seem to be very accomplished on their own path. And they have a very, I would say, they develop very good character sometimes, at least to some extent or in some parts. And and they even seem to have realizations about Krishna, who is behind everything, that there is someone there, always communicating, always making arrangements. So I would say my question is, what is wrong with me if I become bewildered by that and think that they are better than some people who chant Hare Krishna?
Yeah. Well, the thing is that these people, they talk like this for some time, but how long they can maintain that position? Because although they appear to be somewhat renounced and somewhat in the mode of goodness, they're not yet transcendental. They haven't transcended the material energy. So for some time they're renounced, but after some time then they come back again and enjoy the material world. They can't maintain that position very long. They try. Like I said, go in the cave. How long do they stay in the cave? If it's so great in the cave, why do they come back? And the Monavrat, they stop speaking. How long do they stop speaking for? And again, although they stopped speaking, their mind didn't stop. Their mind's still active. So They cannot avoid activities. They don't know the positive application, how to use the mind and how to use the senses properly. So their conditioning, their position is very temporary. Yeah, they appear, they can talk good for some time, but how long do they maintain it? If their philosophy, if their way of life was so great, why don't they keep doing it? Why are they coming back to the world? They didn't stay in the cave. Come back. Come out of the cave. And they didn't keep a vow of silence for very long. So their ideas, they don't give any real solution to the problem. We have to understand what is the real problem. The problem is we're here in the material world and we're subject to birth and death. How are they going to get free of birth and death? They don't have the answers to these things. They have not really transcended the material energy. They may have come to the mode of goodness for some time, but after some time they fall back again to passion and ignorance. They cannot maintain that position. So we shouldn't, you shouldn't be too much impressed by them. Rather, we should encourage them. Oh, very nice. Oh, you're very renounced, yes. But encourage them about the higher application, how we dedicate everything in the service of the Supreme Lord. We don't deny the senses, we use them for the pleasure of Krishna. They have not understood how to use everything properly. They're just trying to negate, to stop everything. But they have to learn how to make use of everything. Why are we provided with these things? There's a positive application of the tongue and the senses. We can use them properly in the service of the Supreme Lord. And that is satisfying. Just to stop activities, you don't do anything wrong, but they didn't do anything good either. So, like that, we have to encourage them. Come and join us. We'll teach you the higher stage of renunciation. Yes, Prabhu?
I think the book Advaita Acharya was lecturing on was Yoga Vasishta.
Yoga Vasishta. The Yoga Vasishta. Okay, yeah. Thank you.
And to this very interesting question from Sanjay Prabhu, I always think or see sometimes such people who are some kind of impersonalist and go in some meditation. They reach some almost sattvic state where they are enjoying some sort of happiness and also this thought of liberation. But for the devotees, I think we also pray for purification. So, and therefore, I think sometimes for the devotees it becomes a little bit hard sometimes on the way. We're facing ourselves, we're facing our anatas, and it's not always pleasing to see. And then we're meeting such people on the street who seemingly be enjoying spiritual life or spiritual atmosphere or what they do. And sometimes we become a little bit envious because they don't have to undergo this purification. What sometimes we have to do, or you know what I mean? So therefore maybe there's also where we think, well, they enjoy more spiritual life. some enjoying spirit is there.
That's not really enjoyment, but that's their own pride, that they think that they've accomplished something. That's their feeling that that they've overcome the urge of the senses, they've conquered the material desires. So that you could say they have that sense of satisfaction within themselves. But have they actually come to the real position of transcendence? You see, they have simply negated everything, simply stopped everything. Yeah, they have they have that feeling of pride in the sense of accomplishment, that they've managed to control their senses. Actually, they've stopped the sense. They haven't made use of them. A devotee, we make use of the senses. We don't stop the senses, but we make use of them, which is a higher principle. They simply stop and don't see anything, don't hear anything, don't speak. But we say no, see the deities, hear the holy name, chant the glories of the Lord. Make use of the senses. They're denying the senses. But we point that the senses are given to us by the grace of God. There's some purpose. We have to learn how to use them properly. They have not understood that. They just want to stop everything. So, I don't think you need to feel so much inferior to them. Yeah, you could. When we're doing things, we do think about our purification. We get our purification. It comes about because we're in connection with Krishna. That purification comes about by contact with the Lord, by chanting His name, by seeing the deities, and everything. We're connected to Krishna and everything. So there's a lot of powerful purification coming. But for the impersonalists, where is their purification? Where are they getting any kind of purification? They're having a lot of false ego. They're thinking they're very renounced, very exalted. Just like Durvasa. Durvasa was jealous of Maharaj Ambarish. Durvasa was a big sannyasi with many disciples. And he saw all the people, they were more appreciative of Maharaj Ambarish than of Durvasa. So Durvasa Muni was jealous, and he tried to do harm to Maharaj Ambarish. And that whole story is there in Srimad Bhagavatam, how Durvasa was chased by the Sudarshan Chakra. The Lord Sudarshan Chakra chased Durvasa. And he went to Brahmaloka, he went to Kailash, he went into the spiritual world, and he fell at the feet of Lord Narayan and asked him, "Save me." But Lord Narayan said, "I can't do anything." And Durvasa was surprised. He said, "It's your Sudarshan Chakra." But the Lord said, "You have offended the devotee." So the power of devotional service is so great. We have to understand how bhakti is so superior to all of these other things. The impersonalists, the Brahmagyanis, the Mayavadis, and how long can they fall back? The verses there in the Bhagavatam, Arora Krishrena patam tada patanti ado nadreta yasmadangraya, because their intelligence is not fully purified, so they come back again into the material world. This is the problem. They have not taken shelter of the lotus feet of the Lord. They have no contact with the Lord. Their intelligence is not purified. And after some time, they will come back to the material world because they have no purpose. They've stopped everything. There's no purpose. Just to become one, to merge into the oneness, to stop everything. So this is useless. And eventually they also get bored with it. And after some, they'll go back to take up material life. Or Prabhupada explains, they renounce, they will come back, they will take up welfare activities. And they will do welfare work. Open a school for mundane education. Open a school or open a hospital to help the sick. And do things like that. Have an orphanage for the children. They will do these different kinds of welfare programs. And you will see the different people often do that. Of course, common people like that. They think, oh, very great, very good. They're doing very nice service for the community. But they have given up their spiritual activities because they don't have any spiritual activity. They just stop everything. They don't do anything. We have spiritual programs. Every day we have spiritual programs, chanting and worshiping, all these. This is our spiritual activities. They don't have. They just stop everything. Nothing. So they get bored. They want activity because the nature of the soul is to be active. We need activity. Therefore, they come back again and take up welfare activities, do welfare work, help the poor, feed the hungry, take care of the sick, look after the old people. These different things. There's one monk in Taiwan, Buddhist monk. He was very renowned. He did great tapasya. And then he came back, he opened a museum of religion. He opened a museum of religion. He's got Hare Krishnas in there also in the museum. But yeah, they don't know what to do, you know. They have no activity. Yes.
Sometimes we see also that devotees who took up devotional service, they're also going back to material activities, sometimes even doing welfare work. And it's many times it's because the purification of the senses was too strong or they got too much in one point. Because I understand when we engage our senses who are covered by material enjoyment, like lust, when they come in contact with something pure like devotional service, there has to be there's a reaction always, and we call it purification. So for some devotees, we just had a example like that, who after quite a while went back again into devotion, into material life. So how we can understand or how we can prevent others and ourselves from falling into the trap.
Well, yeah, we do see people. They go back to the material world, but they always know that Krishna consciousness is the highest. They never forget the philosophy. They never forget what they've learned, even though they go back to the material world. After some time, they'll come back again to devotional service. And we see that, people, sometimes, as you say, the taste for material life is still there, and they'll go back into the material world. But after some time, again, they come back to Krishna consciousness. They just were not ready yet. They needed more time. So, For some time they go away to material world, take up material life, but again after some time they will come back to Krishna consciousness. Yeah, even they make some offenses, but after some time the effects of the offenses will wear off and they'll come back. Even if not in this lifetime, in the next lifetime. Because whatever service they've done in the past is to their credit. It's in their spiritual bank account. Yeah, so they'll never lose that benefit. And in the future they will come back again and continue devotional service. So everyone's on the path, on the journey. Sometimes, of course, it gets very challenging, very difficult, and some people give up, go away for some time, take a break. Okay. But they come back again. And Prabhupada always encouraged devotees, come back, come back. And how to protect ourselves from this? Association. Always keep some association. Stay in contact with devotees. Don't get too far away from the devotees and from the Krishna conscious movement. You have to stay in touch, stay connected. Even though it gets difficult sometimes, but if you have association and if we have connection, then we'll be able to continue. Sometimes Prabhupada gave the example about the trains in India, trains not on time, but keep the wheels rolling. Even the train comes late, it comes. So keep the wheels rolling, keep moving, keep continuing to do something. Stay alive in Krishna consciousness, right? There's that verse in the Srimad Bhagavatam. Tate nukampam susamikshamana panjana evatma kritam vipakam rigvapavir vidan namaste jiveta yo mukti pade sadayabak. So sadayabak means you inherit the property of the Father. It becomes your rightful claim. Your father is a rich man. What do you need to do to get the property of your father? Huh? Well, no, you just have to stay alive and wait for your father to expire, right? The father's older, and wait for the father to die. And when the father dies, then becomes your claim to inherit the property of the father. So the same way, we have to stay alive in Krishna consciousness. We have to stay alive. We have to just keep up, somehow keep going and stay alive. And then it becomes your rightful claim to go back to Godhead. That you stay alive. You stayed in the Krishna, you held on to Krishna. At the end of life, Krishna will take you back.
Thank you for your wonderful knowledge inputs, Maharaj. You are explaining devotees are not seeking liberation. Devotees are not interested in liberation. Then what is the purpose of us doing this devotional service? Because our ultimate aim is supposed to be reaching Godhead, right? So if we are not seeking liberation, how I do not understand the significance or the meaning behind this thing.
What is the goal? Prem Punarto Mahan. The goal of life is to develop love of God. Not just simply liberation. Liberation, we're already liberated. You're already liberated. You're already here in Krishna consciousness. You're chanting. You're hearing about Krishna. You're already on the liberated platform. This is not the goal. But the goal is to develop prem, love of God. Mahaprabhu said, Prem punarto mahan. We have to develop love for God. That is the goal of life. Liberation. You're already a liberated soul. You're chanting, you're dancing, you're using your body and mind and words. This is a liberated platform. Liberation is not the goal, yes. That's insignificant. In Nectar of Devotion, Rupa Goswami described, the happiness of liberation is insignificant compared to the happiness of devotional service. There's some happiness in material pleasure. There's some happiness in liberation. But whatever happiness is there, it's insignificant compared to the ocean of happiness of devotional service. Liberation is like one drop of water, but devotional service is the ocean. You understand? Right? You have to develop prem. We want love of God. We don't just want liberation. No. Because often these people who want liberation, they want sayuja mukti. They want to merge into the oneness. And if you do that, then you cannot do devotional service. Because there's no activities. They want to merge into the oneness. That's suicide for a devotee. So that is a hellish situation. Because you cannot do any bhakti there. We want to do bhakti. We have to go beyond liberation. We don't want that sayuja mukti. Of course, there are other kinds of liberation which can be accepted. But a devotee is not eager for that. To live on the same planet as the Lord, to enjoy the opulence of the Lord, to have the same bodily features as the Lord, and to be a friend with the Lord. There's different kinds of liberation. But a devotee, they can accept that kind of liberation, but they're not eager for it. They want devotional service. They want to develop love. Right? There's sadhana bhakti, bhava bhakti, prema bhakti. We want bhava is devotional service in ecstasy. And prema is devotional service in love of God. So we want to get that. We want to come to bhava and prema. Develop that. Of course, sadhana bhakti is also very good too. You can also be very, very happy on doing sadhana bhakti. It's very nice. But the idea, the goal of life, Mahaprabhu said, was to develop love for God. Right? Like the gopis, we love Krishna. The gopis say, if our being unhappy makes you happy, that is our happiness. Right? That's the mood of the pure devotee. That my being unhappy, if that makes you happy, Krishna, then that is my happiness. I'm unhappy, I'm crying, but you're happy, you're laughing, you're seeing me crying. Okay, then I'm happy. Love of Krishna. Okay, Hare Krishna, Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki